Welcome back to WokTube. I'm Builder Bear, and today we're going to be going over how to become a builder on World of Keralis. Before we do any of that though, I want you guys to scroll down really quick, click the subscribe button, and then ring the bell and select all. That's going to keep you guys in a loop for all of these videos that we have coming out. We do showcases, quick showcases, long showcases. Townie has a section. They do Townie news. We do all sorts of things. We're going to build tutorials, interviews with the builders, all sorts of things. And I want you guys in on that too. So we got that out of the way. Let's go into how to actually apply to be a builder on World of Keralis. You see me kind of aimlessly roaming around this world. This is the guest plot world. When you come on, click warp, guest, enter, and it's going to bring you here. Roll up on there and click old boy to claim a plot. Again, you need 2 builds, 2 exteriors and 2 interiors, fully furnished and done to become a builder. Once you actually build your builds, go ahead and ask a staff member to come over and review them, and they'll tell you what you need to fix if you aren't accepted, or they will let you know that you're accepted. One of the cool things about coming on here and actually using the plot world to become to apply for builder, and I recommend doing this way, you can also go in the forum, but I recommend coming on, is you can get real-time feedback, and you can ask builders, Builder Plus, Advanced, Pro, Trusted, and Staff, anybody for advice on your build, and fix it as you go. It's a lot better than on the forum. You kind of have to wait for somebody to go and view your build and then go from there. So we're only going to go over the guest plot version today. All right, now we're going to move into actually analyzing some guest builds, and we're going to talk about some of them. I think we have maybe 5 guest builds that we're going to look at, and then, like I said earlier, 2 builder builds. So let's get into this. Okay, so the next 2 builds we're going to look at are traditional builds, and one of them is an example of overly detailed, and then the other one is going to be an example of a traditional that's not really laid out properly. So let's go look at the overly detailed one first. I'm going to focus mostly on the interior of this one, and I want you to kind of get the feel for why it's overly detailed and maybe even not refined enough. So let's look at what's going on here, and let's count first. Let's look at the walls. So standard walls are like 5 to 7 blocks high, at least 5. You can build up to like 9, 10 depending on the scale of your build, and scale is very important here. You also need to scale to the level of detail you're putting in. So this guest has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high walls. So they're meeting the standard there. But look at the walls. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 different blocks on the walls going all the way around. And we'll get over here and see more blocks. So there's they've used a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks on the walls, plus all of the stuff going on the walls. So that right there that's super low. It's a dark ceiling, dark floors, which encloses the space with that many blocks on the walls. It's so much for your eyes to take in. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you're looking around this thing. Moving on from that, there's not really a good flow around this place. I feel like I kind of have to. This is the front door to this restaurant, and I feel like I don't know, it's very awkward to get around. There's not really any aisles to go between. There is down here, but then I don't know, the layout's not right. There's so much detail going on, especially with these windows. You have stairs facing different ways, and I feel like there's detail just to put detail in, and it's not really hitting it for me. The windows are so small too. They're not really large. They're not letting a whole lot of light into this already dark space. The chandeliers are hanging down really low. Just all of this stuff put together is really making for a busy, just overly cramped space that doesn't really make me feel good to be in. And I want you guys to pay attention to that. Okay, next we're going to go and we're going to take a look at this traditional house, which on the outside, actually, I like the outside of this thing. I really do. And I'm not just, giving it lip service. I actually really like the outside of this house. I could use some things here or there, but overall, it's just minor tweaking. It's the layout and the scale that I have a problem with. The first floor only has 3 rooms, and it has this awkward living room going into this equally awkward office. And because the scale is so small, they didn't leave themselves room to actually flesh out any of the ideas that they had for furniture. And when you do that to yourself, it's really hard to design furniture in this tiny of a space. So we have a video series that I'm working on next. I have it all set up on my plot in on the world, and it's all about the 4 steps of how to lay out and design a build and actually build it. And I think this person could really do justice to watch that video and kind of follow the steps, because they're so close to being there. If they just kind of did these things and focused on, you know, scale of the build and working on layout. So we can kind of see coming through here again, a small dining room, I guess. They just smashed it in there. There's not a whole lot of room to really flesh out their ideas. Let's go upstairs and take a look. And a little bit too much detail in this small of a space. There's a lot going on. You have to like squeeze through, and there's an awkward bench at the end. And then coming into the bedrooms, okay, so I've actually seen bedrooms that are this size on the server, but there's just, you can't put a little bit more of the over detail going on. You can't just put pictures everywhere with the picture lights above it. You can't just spam those in everywhere. There's more elegant ways to do that. And then coming through here again, I've seen bathrooms that are this size that actually work, so I'm not going to harp too much on this. I'm not going to go into too much. There's 2 bedrooms up here that kind of feel a little bit of the same. This doesn't, 1 block beds doesn't really work that well. And then having a balcony come off of just a small bedroom when you could have had it come off the master bedroom doesn't really work. So this builder could have used to work on their, or not builder, this guest could have used to work on their layout a little bit when they were actually doing this build. Alright, now we're going to look at a traditional house on the server that I feel like is easy to, it's a really good traditional house. I like the layout and I like the details. It's fully furnished on the inside. It's in Warp Las Colinas. Let's go in and check it out. So actually, let's not go in. Well, no, let's go. ADD. Alright, this is by Duck Creeper. Let's go and look at the outside. And you can kind of get the idea of, it's simple on the outside, but there's some really nice details that that I just like, I don't know, I really dig, like for the windows and for the for this little trellis above this area. It's such a beautiful little detail. Let's go in and kind of check it out really quick, and I will kind of address the issues that I have with a lot of the guests. So again, look at the scale, the 5 high, sometimes going up to 6, 7, or 8. And then it all has rooms, all of its rooms. All of the rooms have area for the furniture to sit in. And this great room doesn't feel forced. The kitchen just feels like it sits very well. The bedrooms, the beds aren't just actual Minecraft beds. They're wool, they're built, they have a baseboard, he has a headboard in the wall there. There's room for everything, and the layout feels very nice, and it flows very easily down this hall. So these are what you need to think about. It's a very small build, but it has everything. Utilities, an easy path to the kitchen from everything, so it works very well. Try to take that when you do these actual builds, and try to use that and fix your builds accordingly. Alright, so we're going to look at this modern build, and this modern build, this thing will look amazing in like 2014, 2015. It's not really up to the standards today, and there's a few reasons why. So first of all, this is an example of an overly detailed modern build. There is a lot going on the outside, and I feel like it's just happening for the sake of happening. Blocks for the sake of blocks isn't a thing. Each block needs to have a purpose, whether it's an aesthetic purpose or a utilitarian purpose. So you need to think about that. And your builds need to, I don't know, this build isn't sure what it wants to be, I guess, is the way to put it. There's details kind of everywhere that all just don't really fit each other, and they don't complement each other. Let's go inside of this. I don't even know where the front door is on this building. Alright, so here's the front door, I guess. And when you get in here, you're going to see what I mean about layout and about decorating. And so, free builds, a lot of times, if you're not super skilled, they suffer from, you build a structure And then you have to fill the structure with stuff. And I'm not even so sure this individual was building with our texture pack, because there's just so many different things going on in this build. Which is another thing. Make sure you're using the texture pack. We have a video teaching you how to install it. Utilize that. If you go to /FAQ, FAQ, while on the server, you can see that thing. So back to the point of, if you free build and you're not particularly comfortable with free building or our standards, you kind of wind up with what you're seeing here. The scale is a little bit too low for modern standards. Maybe bump it up one block. There was a bunch of space and they had to fill it with something. You have, a random huge pool table here, a wall of anvils over there, and then this just very strangely partitioned off, like theater with one couch in it. It's not really, just everything's kind of just not fitting well in this build. It's not going together. So don't make a space and then expect just to know what to fill it with, because you're going to wind up with a hodgepodge of stuff and then a bunch of open, awkward, unused space. And that's defeating. It's defeating to your efforts, and it's defeating. You're not going to get accepted on the server like this. Let's go. I think there's an upstairs. Yeah, let's go upstairs and check out what's going on up here. And there's really just more of the same. It's just a bunch of spaces that are kind of, they could be something. And there's the start of like really cool atmosphere going on. But then you have like places like this, and it's like a half sunken living room, but they had to build a couch on a full block. Again, this is a perfect example of a modern build that wasn't really fleshed out. Come up with your ideas, come up with your color palette, and try to stick with your palette. If you're kind of a newer builder and you're not really familiar with our, like these shelves, it's just so awkward. If you're not really familiar with our standards, try to pick a smaller palette. Don't pick 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a good 7 blocks I'm looking at here. Don't pick that many blocks. Maybe you pick 4 blocks. Maybe you pick 3 blocks and go with that and try to build a cohesive build on that. And then later on down the road, you can build more complex modern builds or traditional builds with more blocks. All right, we're going to look at this modern build again on Guest Plot World, as all of these are. Let's go in. And so the outside, I feel like a lot of people get pigeonholed into making these older designs. And it kind of goes along the same things, just a little bit older style. The shapes are definitely dated for Minecraft and for World of Keralis. Again, not really sure if they're building in our resource pack. I don't understand the color choices for the driveway. It doesn't look very realistic. I mean, Florida, I guess. Florida has colored driveways. Maybe they thought they were in Florida, but still not that. It's like colored concrete, which we have. Use that. So we're gonna come around. So I guess this is the front right here. I will say the landscaping, I do enjoy that. They've used different heights and blocks for landscaping, so that's something. Maybe a little bit dated, so come on and check out different landscaping methods. But coming in, I appreciate some of the details they've tried to do. They don't go with the entire build. So again, layout is very important, and they just don't have it going on. There's pictures in random spots. You have, a sectional here in a very small space. A sectional is a pretty big couch. You should put it in a decent sized space, with, one slab for the coffee table, and then this kind of awkward sitting area here. If you're going to have a sitting area that doesn't actually look at a TV or a fireplace or, have a view, then you should actually try to make it so that, it's a congregating place where people can talk to each other there. If you think about it, that's pretty realistic. If seats aren't in front of the TV or like fireplace, then they're looking at each other, or they're arranged in a way where you could have a conversation, not just facing an empty corner of a room. Coming back, where's the front door? There's the front door. So the layout is all right in this. Things are separated. You have your dining, kitchen, kind of leading out to the garage over here. That makes sense. A central walkout onto the back patio. That makes sense. And then over here is the living, and then the actual bedrooms. The layout makes sense. The scale does not. So the kitchen's over here, and the kitchen details again could be very refined. You have a very low upper shelf, not providing you a whole lot of room to work in there. All of this unused area up top, so that's not really working. And then you come over here and you have a 1 wide table. People still use 1 block wide tables, not in modern builds so much, and not to this effect as much. Then coming in here, you have just, I don't know, there's a lot of random details again stuck in, and a very old school feeling garage. And then paintings. If you're not sure what to put on the wall, and I've suffered from it too when I first started building, don't just put paintings on the wall. It's not really a style. It's not really you creating something. You can use paintings to great effect, but don't just spam them on walls in spaces where you don't know where to put stuff. Like this shelf, you could have used player heads on this shelf. You could have used flowers, any small detail. 1 wall piece world edited on there would have looked better than just paintings back there. And then we're going to go into these rooms, and again, just very small, very cramped, huge painting on the wall, 2 tiny beds. You know what I mean? It just doesn't give off the feeling that it needs to. I'm not even sure there's a bathroom in this build, so that's another problem with the layout. And we're looking at the same thing in this. Very small, very cramped, and if you have a small space, dark walls actually make things feel smaller. And then colored ceilings can actually make things feel very enclosed as well. Well, a trick you can use if you have a small space, try using a light ceiling, so white or tan, and it'll actually pick up the ceiling a little bit. So there's that build. Let's go around to the outside really quick and take a look at what they've done with the landscaping. Things I like is I like the different paths going everywhere. You have multiple ways to get to places. Things I don't like, so like this is actually fairly cute. If they had, figured out how to connect the fence all the way. There's a seating area around, a fire pit. You get the idea. They could have sunken that in or done something else with that. So that's all right. I actually like that. I don't like these blocks above the pool. It does not feel very authentic and random. So there's a lot of things to like, and there's a lot of things that just prevented this individual from maybe getting builder. We're going to look at a modern house in Las Colinas by Andar Pringle, the Pringle Man himself. And this house kind of encompasses everything I think you guys need to think about when you're building a modern house. First thing I want you to notice, so we're going to use this house in a separate video tutorial on the 4 steps needed to build up to WOK standards. First thing I want you to notice is brick. This is a modern house, and the builders actually used brick. Blows your mind. No, it's super realistic, dude. You see houses modern houses aren't just snow, and they aren't just weird color combinations with strange block pillars sticking out everywhere. This is a very realistic house that you would see in a residential area. It's brick, wood, and glass. 3 blocks. Some variations of each, but there's really only 3 blocks that he's used on the outside, or the color palette, I guess you could say. We're going to go in and we're going to look at layout now. The layout is, something a lot of people are missing. A good layout is separated into, I'm going to call it 4 areas. So you have the bedrooms, and these are all the bedrooms back here. A lot of times that is off of the living area. So boop, you have the living area, and the living area can comprise of a family room and a living room, or a seating area, whatever. I don't know, different countries call it different things. I'm from America, so family room is the TV room, and living room is the place where your mom doesn't want you to sit. And then you have the eating area, which comprises of the kitchen and the dining room, usually pretty close to each other, or they at least have a very clear path to one another. And then you have the utilities of the house. So that is washing machine, that is the pantries, that is any utility closet, and then the garage. So think about those 4 things. You have the bedrooms, living, eating, utilities. And when you're laying things out, you need to lay them out. Look at this. This is a 1 clear path all the way through the house, which not only lets light all the way through the house, but it also connects everything. If you come in, you bring groceries in from the garage. You don't have to wind through a bunch of places. You can go directly where you need to go. So you need to think about that. Next, we're going to look at scale of the build. He is 1, 2, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks high. And again, remember what I said, 5 to 7 blocks, sometimes higher. And then it is big enough to accommodate all of the furniture that he wants to put in here. And you're going to see in the 4-step process that I've put together in a separate video how to actually go about getting the scale right, so you would lay out your lay out the house, lay out the furniture next, so you can still kind of make adjustments as you go. You're going to do all that in wool. But there you go. There's the quick nitty-gritty of just a modern house that I chose to show you guys what Wok standards look like. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for coming on the server. We always enjoy having you. Hopefully you learned something today. Remember to subscribe again. We're gonna have a ton of build tutorials coming out. I'm working on a 4-step system on how to build better. We're gonna do interviews with builders. We're gonna ask them about their particular styles, all sorts of stuff. So take what you learned today, go out there, make your builds awesome, and who knows, maybe you'll be a builder next.